Have you ever just looked at a lock and wondered, what is actually going on inside that little metal thing? For most of us, it's a total mystery. You stick a key in, you turn it, and it just opens. But the world of opening locks without a key, that's shrouded in even more mystery. And let's be honest, it's usually associated with something kind of sneaky.
So that really brings us to the big question, right? Is lockpicking a criminal skill, or is it something else entirely? A lot of us see it through the lens of Hollywood movies, spies and burglars. But there's this huge community of people out there who see it as a fascinating mechanical puzzle, a real challenge for your mind and your hands. So let's dive in and see what this community is really all about.
To really get this, we've got to start with the people who actually do it. So before we even touch the mechanics of a lock, we need to talk about the why. And for the community that does this, it all starts with a very strict code of ethics. And look, this isn't just a friendly suggestion. This is the absolute, unbreakable, golden rule of the entire community. This one principle is what draws that bright, clear line between a hobbyist and a criminal. It completely frames the activity. You're solving a puzzle that you own, not bypassing security that you don't. This hobby even has a name. It's called Locksport. And you should really think of it less like breaking and entering, and way more like solving a Rubik's Cube or a super hard Sudoku puzzle. It's an intellectual challenge. It's a way to understand the really clever engineering that we all rely on every single day.
Okay, so with the ethics out of the way, let's get to the good stuff. How does the most common type of lock out there, the pin tumbler lock, actually work? Because to understand how to pick it, you first have to understand how a key opens it.
All right, let's start with the basic anatomy. You've got the hull, that's the outer casing, the part that doesn't move. Then inside that you have the plug. That's the cylinder, the part you actually want to turn. And that little zigzaggy opening for the key, that's the keyway. The entire goal here is just to get that plug to rotate freely inside the hole. So what's stopping that plug from just turning all the time? Well, it's a series of what are called pin stacks. Inside, you've got these tiny springs, and they're pushing down on driver pins. Those driver pins then rest on top of key pins, which are the pins your key actually touches. Now, those driver pins, they're the real security. They literally bridge the gap between the plug and the hull, physically blocking it from turning. And this all comes down to one absolutely crucial concept, the shear line. It's that tiny, tiny physical gap where the inner plug meets the outer hull. The only way to open the lock is to line up the gap between every single key pin and its driver pin perfectly along the shear line. When your key goes in, that's what it's doing. It lifts all the pins to the perfect height, clearing that line so the plug can turn. The whole game is about clearing the shear line. Now, here's a thought. If every part of a lock was made absolutely perfectly, picking it would be impossible. You'd have to lift every single pin to the shear line at the exact same nanosecond. But here's the secret, the one little flaw that makes this entire sport possible. It's really simple. Nothing made by humans is truly perfect. Even in the most expensive, highest quality locks, there are microscopic imperfections, tiny, invisible flaws from the manufacturing process. And you know what? Those flaws are everything.
Here's why that imperfection makes all the difference. In a theoretically perfect lock, if you try to apply turning pressure, every pin would jam up at the exact same time. You'd be stuck. But in a real-world lock, because of those tiny misalignments, one pin, and only one, is going to get caught between the plug and the hull just a fraction of a second before all the others. And that one special pin, we call it the binding pin. It's the one pin that's carrying all the turning force you're applying. It feels stuck, it feels solid, while all the other pins are still kind of loose and springy. This right here, this is the vulnerability. This is your first target. And that is no exaggeration. Understanding this one concept, that imperfections create a single binding pin that you can find and manipulate, that's the foundation of everything. You're not fighting all the pins at once, you're just solving for one pin at a time.
So, now that we know the secret, the binding pin, how do we actually go about exploiting it? Well, it turns out there are two main paths you can take, especially for beginners.
The first is called single pin picking, or SPP. This is the slow, methodical, almost surgical approach. You apply light turning pressure with a tension wrench, then you use a pick to go in and feel for that one pin that's binding. You gently lift just that pin until you feel a tiny little click. That's called a set. At that moment, the plug will rotate just a tiny bit, and a new pin will start to bind. Then you just find the next one and repeat the process, one pin at a time, until the lock pops open.
The second path is raking. This is a much faster, more dynamic technique. You use a rake-shaped pick and you basically just scrub it back and forth over the pins while you play with the tension. The goal is to kind of randomly jiggle and bounce all the pins into the set position by chance. Yeah, it's less precise, but for simple locks, it can be incredibly effective. And man, it's a huge morale booster for beginners when they get that first quick open.
So, you've got two different approaches to the exact same puzzle. Raking is fast, relies a little bit on luck, and it's great for simple locks. SPP is slow, deliberate, it takes way more skill, but it's the technique you're going to need for more complex locks down the road. Most pickers end up learning both.
So, as you can probably tell by now, this whole thing really isn't about breaking things. It's about understanding them. It's a hobby that teaches you patience, fine motor control, and it gives you a real appreciation for intricate mechanical design. And just like any skill, it's something you have to practice. It's not something you learn once and then you know it forever. That feel for the pins, knowing just the right amount of tension to use, that's a craft that you have to maintain and develop over time. And that's really the core takeaway here. Once you understand the principles happening inside, a lock it transforms. It stops being this dumb barrier and it becomes this elegant, solvable puzzle. So the next time you put a key in a lock, maybe you'll think about that tiny, intricate world of pins and springs you're about to solve.
If you enjoyed peeling back the layers on this topic and seeing how it works, make sure to subscribe to The Explainer. We love to break down complex subjects just like this every week. Thanks for watching.